and the first verse. God's hand rests on this mountain. God, you are my God. I celebrate you. I praise you. You've done your share of miracle wonders, well thought out plans, solid and sure. Here you reduce the city to rubble, the strong city to a pile of stones, the enemy big city is a non-city, never to be a city again. Superpowers will see it and honor you. Brutal oppressors bow in worshipful reverence. They'll see that you care for the poor, that you take care of the poor people in trouble. Provide a warm, dry place in bad weather. Provide a cool place when it's hot. Brutal oppressors are like a winter blizzard, and vicious foreigners like high noon in the desert. But you shelter from the storm and shade from the sun. Shut the mouths of the big-mouthed bullies. But here on this mountain, God of the angel armies will throw a feast to all the people of the world, a feast of the finest foods, a feast with vintage wines, a feast of 7 courses, a feast lavish with gourmet desserts. And here on this mountain, God will banish the pall of doom hanging over all peoples, the shadow of doom darkening all nations. Yes, he'll banish death forever. God will wipe away the tears from every face. He'll remove every sign of disgrace from his people wherever they are. Yes, God says so. Also at that time, people will say, look at what's happened. This is our God. We waited for him and he showed up and saved us. This God, the one we waited for, let's celebrate, sing the joys of his salvation. God's hand rests on this mountain. As for the Moabites, they'll be treated like trash, waste shoveled into a cesspool. Thrash away as they will, like swimmers trying to stay afloat. They'll sink in the sewers. Their pride will pull them under. Their famous fortifications will crumble to nothing. Those mighty walls reduced to dust. Isaiah 26, stretch the borders of life. At that time, this song will be sung in the country of Judah. We have a strong city, Salvation City, built and fortified with salvation. Throw wide the gates so good and true people can enter. People with their minds set on you. You keep completely whole, steady on their feet because they keep at it and don't quit. Depend on God and keep at it because in the Lord God you have a sure thing. Those who lived high and mighty, he knocked off their high horse. He used the city built on the hill as fill for the marshes, as all the exploited and outcast people build their lives on the reclaimed land. The path of right living people is level. The leveler evens the road for the right living. We're in no hurry, God. We're content to linger in the path of signposted with your decisions. Who you are and what you've done, and all will ever want. Through the night, my soul longs for you. Deep from within, my spirit reaches out to you when your decisions are on public display. Everyone learns how to live right. If the wicked are shown grace, they don't seem to get it. In the land of right living, they persist in wrong living, blind to the splendor of God. In the land of right living, they persist in wrong living. You hold your hand up high, God, but they don't see it. Open their eyes to what you do, to see your zealous love for your people. Shame them, light a fire under them, get the attention of these enemies of yours. God, order a peaceful and whole life for us, because everything we've done, you've done for us. Oh God, our God, we've had other masters rule us, but you're the only master we've ever known. The dead don't talk, ghosts don't walk, because you said enough. That's all for you, and wipe them off the books. But the living you make larger than life. The more life you give, the more glory you display, and stretch the borders to accommodate more living. Oh God, they beg you for help when they were in trouble, when your discipline was so heavy they could barely whisper a prayer, like a woman having a baby, writhing in distress, screaming her pain as the baby is being born. That's how we were because of you, oh God. We were pregnant full term. We writhed in labor, but bore no baby. We gave birth to wind. Nothing came of our labor. We produced nothing living. We couldn't save the world. But friends, your dead will live. Your corpses will get to their feet. All you dead and buried, wake up, sing. Your dew is morning dew, catching the first rays of sun. The earth bursting with life, giving birth to the dead. Come, my people, go home and shut yourselves in. Go into seclusion for a while until the punishing wrath is past, because God is sure to come from his place to punish the wrong of the people on earth. Earth itself will point out the bloodstains. It will show where the murdered have been hidden away. Isaiah 27, selected grain by grain. At that time, God will unsheath his sword, his merciless, massive, mighty sword. He'll punish the serpent Leviathan as it flees. The serpent Leviathan thrashing in flight. He'll kill that old dragon that lives in the sea. At that same time, a fine vineyard will appear. There's something to sing about. I, God, tend it. I keep it well watered. I keep careful watch over it, so that no one can damage it. I'm not angry. I care. If it gives me thistles and thorn bushes, I'll just pull them out and burn them up. Let that vine cling to me for safety. Let it find a good and whole life with me. Let it hold on for good and whole life. The days are coming when Jacob shall put down roots, Israel blossom and grow fresh branches and fill the world with its fruit. Has God knocked them to the ground? Has he knocked down those who hit them? Oh no. Were they killed as their killers were killed? Again, no. He was hard on them, all right. The exile was a harsh sentence. He blew them away on a fierce blast of wind. But the good news is that through this experience, Jacob's guilt was taken away. The evidence that his sin is removed will be this: he will tear down the alien altars, take them apart stone by stone, and then crush the stone into gravel, and clean out all the sex and religion shrines, for there's nothing left of that pretentious grandeur. Nobody lives there anymore. It's unlivable, but animals do just fine, browsing and bedding down, and it's not a bad place to get firewood. Dry twigs and dead branches are plentiful. It's the remains of a people with no sense of God. So the God who made them will have nothing to do with them. He who formed them will turn his back on them. At that time, God will thresh from the river Euphrates to the brook of Egypt, and you, the people of Israel, will be selected grain by grain. At that same time, a great trumpet will be blown, calling home the exiles from Assyria, welcoming home the refugees from Egypt to come and worship God on the holy mountain, Jerusalem. Isaiah 28, God will speak in baby talk. Doomed to the pretentious drunks of Ephraim, shabby and washed out and seedy, tipsy, sloppy, fat, bare-bellied parodies. Lord, this is some poetry. Of a proud and handsome past. Watch closely. God has someone picked out, someone tough and strong to flatten them. Like a hailstorm, like a hurricane, like a flash flood. One-handed, he'll throw them to the ground. Samaria, the party's hat on Israel's head, will be knocked off with one blow. It will disappear quicker than a piece of meat tossed to a dog. At that time, God will be the beautiful crown on the head of what's left of his people, energy and insights of justice to those who guide and decide, strength and prowess to those who guard and protect. There are also the priests and prophets stagger from drink, weaving, falling down drunks, besotted with wine and whiskey. Can't see straight, can't talk sense. Every table is covered with vomit. They live in vomit. Is that so? And who do you think you are to teach us? Who are you to lord it over us? We're not babies in diapers to be talked down to you by such as you. Da, 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 da. Blah, 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 blah. That's a good little girl. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Okay. Da, 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 da. Blah, 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 blah. That's a good little girl. That's a good little boy. But that's exactly how you'll be addressed. God will speak to this people in baby talk, one syllable at a time, and he'll do it through foreign oppressors. He said before, this is the time and place to rest, to give rest to the weary. This is the place to lay down your burden, but they won't listen. So God will start over with simple basics and address them in baby talk, one syllable at a time. Da, 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 da. Blah, 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 blah. That's a good little girl. That's a good little boy. And like toddlers, they will be up, get up and fall down and get bruised and confused and lost. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Now listen to God's message, you scoffers who rule this people in Jerusalem. You say we're taking out good life insurance. We're hedged all our bets, covered all our bases. No disaster can touch us. We thought of everything. We're advised by experts. We're set. The meaning of the stone. But the Master God has something to say to this. Watch closely. I'm laying a foundation in Zion, a solid granite foundation, square and true. And this is the true meaning of the stone. A trusting life won't topple. I'll make justice the measuring stick and righteousness the plumb line for the building. A hailstorm will knock down the shanty town of lies, and a flash flood will wash out the rubble. Then you'll see that your precious life insurance policy wasn't worth the paper it was written on. Your careful precautions against death were a pack of illusions and lies. When the disaster happens, you'll be crushed by it. Every time disaster comes, you'll be in on it. Disaster in morning, disaster at night. Every report of disaster will send you cowering in terror. There will be no place where you can rest, nothing to hide under. God will rise to full stature, raging as he did long ago on Mount Perazim in the valley of Gibeon against the Philistines. But this time it's against you. Hard to believe, but true. Not what you'd expect, but it's coming. Sober up, friends, and don't scoff. Scoffing will just make it worse. I've heard the orders for destruction, orders from God, ending up in an international disaster. Listen to me now. Give me your closest attention. Do farmers plow and do nothing but plow? Or harrow and do nothing but harrow? After blah, 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 blah. I've heard everything. After they prepared the ground, don't they plant? Don't they scatter dill and spread cumin? Plant wheat and barley in the fields and raspberries along the borders. They know exactly what to do and when to do it. Their God is their teacher. And at the harvest, the delicate herbs and spices, the dill and cumin, are treated delicately. On the other hand, wheat is threshed and milled, but still not endlessly. The farmer knows how to treat each kind of grain. He's learned it from God of the angel armies, who knows everything about when and how and where. This is the word of the Lord. Mercy, Jesus. Blah, 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 blah.